I will say, in comparison, right off the bat, between this shoe and the Novablast 3, out today here at one of the universities, we're going to be doing a review for the ADIDAS ADIZERO SL. This shoe has been really popular among the running community as of late, especially because of the pricing that it's been set at as of late as well. Normally this price for the shoe is about 120 bucks, but even recently I got my pair for 60 bucks and my wife got her pair at $35. So yeah, I wanted to go over this shoe. I've been running in it. I definitely wanted to take the time to show you kind of where it's at right now. Before you go looking online and finding the shoe, I want to cover the fit here in a second. It's definitely something you're going to be wanting to be aware of before making a purchase, unless you're more familiar with Adidas shoes and how they fit. Pricing certainly ebbs and flows. Availability of the shoe also does, but I certainly encourage you to check out and see if you can pick up a pair somewhere from a trusted retailer once you've watched the video. But before I start the review, I need to go over a couple of disclosures first. I purchased these shoes with my own money, and these opinions and observations are my own, and no one gets to preview, edit, or provide feedback prior to me posting this video here on YouTube. I am not sponsored by Adidas, and no one's paying me to review these shoes or make the video. Lastly, if you like any of the products seen or mentioned in this video, I provided Amazon affiliate links in the description. If you don't know what an Amazon affiliate link is, it's an easy and convenient way for you to browse and purchase products that I've listed here in the video. In turn, if you both use the link and make a purchase with said link, I receive a very small portion of that sale, and because using the link doesn't add any additional cost to you, you're essentially supporting me with the purchase you've made. So be sure to check out the links below for any products you like in the video. Now let's get to the review. Okay, okie. So I want to cover some of the initial thoughts and feelings I had before even running in these shoes. There's much more cushioning here than what I initially assumed by looking at them. I thought these would be a little bit less cushioned, and they're really cushioned, but by the end of my first run I was more than happy with the cushioning on board. Now let's go over the ADIZERO SL specs before I cover the fit. I bought these shoes in a men's size 12.5, as I heard that Adidas sizes are a little bit narrower than others. So I sized up a half size to ensure I wouldn't have trouble with the width. Hey guys, so before I continue the review, I just wanted to ask you, what's been your favorite pair of Adidas shoes thus far? Have you run into Adidas lately? Have you not run into Adidas lately? Is there one specific brand of pair of shoes that you prefer over Adidas? Or is Adidas your go-to brand? So these are considered a neutral trainer with no intentional stability features for pronators or underpronators. The stack height in the forefoot measures at 26.5 millimeters, while the heel is 35 millimeters. So continuing on, the outsole is made not of their typical Continental rubber, but of Adidas standard rubber. And these sport not only one, but two midsole foams, namely the Light Strike and the Light Strike Pro. It's going to be your carrier foam, and then your standard foam that's going to be carrying you through those other miles. These weighed in at the grams listed up here. Despite these being a little bit more of a stiff shoe, there's actually no carbon plate, no rods. Adidas uses those rods there, but not in this specific shoe. Okay, let's go ahead and cover more details as far as the sizing. These are just a skosh longer in the forefoot and the toe box area here due to me sizing up, but it's not really that predominant. Had I not sized up, for sure my toes would be squished around the toe box section here. So if you're someone who tends to have a little bit more of a wider foot, it might be a good idea to consider sizing up at least a half size if you're thinking about making a purchase for the ADIZERO SLs. Real quick before I continue, if you're finding this video helpful, there's a great way to let me know. One, by hitting the like button, and two, by going a step further and leaving a comment below. Let me and others know how much you like the videos. Thanks. This colorway is super eye-catching. Set against a pure white backdrop with purple and pink accents, it really stands out, making this shoe a real head-turner while out on your runs. I get compliments on these almost every time I take them out somewhere. Even this Bianchi mint green here, it's a great look on the outsole, making this a standout / attention-grabbing look. My wife has an even better colorway. Hers is probably my favorite colorway of the offerings from the shoes. So moving on to the upper, which is made of a very breathable and comfortable engineered mesh, which is uniformly the same around the entirety of the shoe. It's a very soft material to the touch, so if you want to go sockless, consider this a great shoe for that purpose. The breathability spoke for itself when I took a flashlight and placed it inside the shoe and was able to see the light come through quite well. That's how breathable this is. This sports a flexible welded plastic overlay around the toe cap here, ensuring the smallest amount of mud won't stain the front of the shoes or permeate the upper here. However, it really doesn't provide any water resistance on the majority of the upper, the rest of the upper at least. The location of the well just doesn't lend itself to being a significant barrier enough to keep the elements away on a day when it calls for rain. Another thing I noticed, there seems to be no reflective accents anywhere on board the upper here. This is pretty unusual for shoes nowadays. Most shoes you can still find at least even the tiniest amount of reflective accents or overlays on the upper or anywhere on the shoe. I found a possible exception to that, although not technically reflective, this glaze or sheen here. I'm wondering if you can catch that in the light anywhere. And over here too. Light does bounce off of it, and it kind of emulates diffuse light characteristics, and thus, hypothetically, could be helpful in making you a little bit more visible when it has a perfect angle. So not exactly reflective. And if having night or early morning reflective visibility is important to you, these really won't tick that box. So you're probably better off wearing some sort of reflective clothing or attire or lights. Continuing toward the rear of the shoes, more overlays continue around the back, with this purple and pink gradient taped overlays around the eyelets ensure that the laces stay locked in place, and sewn zigzag patterns is a nice touch as well. And before we continue the review, if you're finding this video helpful, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's so helpful and lets me know how much you appreciate the content I'm putting out by doing so. Thanks very much. Let's cover the collar. So you actually have a substantial amount of padding right here in the collar to give a little extra structure and comfort to your ankles. The collar is also made of polyester, which I personally find quite nice and forgiving when you go sockless or wearing no-show socks. At the very back of the collar, there's actually this nicely designed pull tab here. Leave it down or leave it up, however you prefer it. The heel counter is quite stable to provide support, preventing your feet from moving around too much. Let's get to that insole. Now, as far as the insole or the footbed, there's plenty of room in the toe box to let your feet splay out during your runs, using the default insole or swapping it out with another one of your choosing to support your specific needs. So that's good news regarding the insole. I will say there's much more arch support than what I tend to get from other shoes. So if you need that kind of support in a shoe, be sure you check the shoe out and see if it supports your needs in this way. I already have pretty high arches, so this is just an additional bonus. I even got some walks in, and I'm happy to report this also makes for a really great walking shoe. If you're about town or going on even little hikes here and there, it's a really great shoe for all those purposes. Shoe with enough width on the edges of the midfoot to keep you stable while out on your strolls. It's definitely a high recommend for me to use this as a walking shoe as well. The ADIZERO SL has good laces. They're set up well, but I do my usual thing, which is to remove them from the standard eyelet and drop them back one eyelet here in the back, keeping them on the longer side so I can still get in a double knot. And speaking of which, let me know in the comments if you use the standard lacing setups that most manufacturers give you, or if you created your own lacing setup. Let me know in the comments below. So the tongue itself is more of an old school design, but it strikes a fine balance of not being too puffy while giving you optimal comfort. From shoes in similar categories as this, I'm used to seeing more of a winged or butterfly design that's similar to that of a soccer or football cleat. Another added bonus, I didn't find them to be a sweat sponge, so no worries regarding that. These kind of do have somewhat of a butterfly. So let's get on to the midsole. I really like the midsole in this shoe. This is like gonna be a spoiler already. The stack height in the forefoot measures at 26.5 millimeters, while the heel is 35 millimeters, making this right about 8.5 millimeter drop. The same drop for reference that the Novablast 3 has. I would never have guessed that just by looking at them side by side, but that means the ADIZERO SL is taller in the forefoot and the heel than the Novablast 3. I was really surprised by this, mostly because of all the extra plate foam blast plus midsole cushioning of the Novablast 3 that encircles the heel. It gives the illusion that it's much taller. Although when it comes to the drop, it's the same 8.5 millimeter drop that we get from version 3 of the Novablast. I will say, in comparison between this shoe and the Novablast 3, this one isn't as squishy from the outsole rubber itself, which I find very nice. This is actually what I would say is more of a stable version of the Novablast version 1, which I love that shoe, but it was a little squirrely. So I think just as far as comparisons go, This would be probably the best comparison for what the Novablast 1 felt like as far as the stiffness of the foam, but it also provided a much more balanced ride when going out for your runs. And since I have them side by side, I can actually grab this one, since I got the 3. So I don't know if the camera can see it, but yeah, that's kind of the view of them side by side. So the Novablast 3 and the ADIZERO SL. This is definitely much more squishy. The weekend for the Portland Marathon, I brought this shoe both to Hawaii and Portland. We spent some time initially in Hawaii and then time in Portland before my Portland Marathon. I used this shoe for a couple of walks, walking around town. It's a very comfortable shoe for sure, but when I got home from the Portland Marathon and I slipped my feet into this one, this is a lot squishier. It feels way more comfortable. This is something I definitely would equate more to, honestly, for me, more of a recovery shoe. So people use this as a daily trainer. I'm just not a fan of this as a daily trainer. It doesn't have the get up and go that you want from a daily trainer, in my opinion. But if you have any more questions about this one specifically, I did review this shoe. So be sure you check out that review in the corner up here. Yeah, a lot squishier. But it's right around the same stack height between these two shoes. They're really great. There are 2 types of midsole foams here aboard the ADIZERO SL, one being the carrier foam called Lightstrike, and the other is Lightstrike Pro. Both gives you a really well-balanced ratio between cushioning versus spring. Especially for my daily miles, I found the cushioning to be dialed in. I was able to improve my overall paces as these shoes provided me with better efficiency, better cushioning, and better turnover and toe-off performance. It's worth noting the Lightstrike Pro is the same foam as they have put in the ADIZERO Adios Pro. So for the aspect of a daily trainer, you get even more bang for your buck because this emulates the same performance of a race day shoe as far as the foam, thus rounding out your rotation, possibly choosing Adidas for your preferred ecosystem. You're definitely going to like these shoes underfoot if you churn through all those daily miles and speed sessions, but not only that, these make for a great 5K, 10K option, similar to the Nike Streakfly. The big sell for me on this is that the ADIZERO SL frees you up mentally on your training runs. What I mean by that is they're the type of shoe you slip on and just go. You don't even notice that they're there. You have more mental energy to focus on the things during your run, such as reaching your prescribed paces in your training block, all while giving you the benefits and comfort, cushioning, and springy responsive ride to carry you through all of those miles. So 5 out of 5 stars. Would definitely recommend. So let's go ahead and cover this outsole. I love the outsole on these puppies. It's been a really nice, durable outsole thus far. I will say I am starting to see some wear, and I think that that's just because the ridges here are raised so high. My camera doesn't adjust too well, so I'll try to get that in the shot from a different angle from one of my B-roll footage. But basically, on the medial part of the shoe, there's a lot more of this outsole here. And then, of course, if you've been following any of my videos for too long, you know that this lateral part of the shoe, I'm repeating myself all the time, this part of the shoe always gets really rubbed down. So the outsole rubber here, the purple part, pink or purple part, it's doing really well still. And it's just these raised ridges that are kind of getting beat up because I'm really grinding through those miles. So just keep that in mind. I'm about 60 miles into these shoes. Honestly, that's not even true because I'm kind of doing that taboo thing where I'm also wearing them when I'm going about. I just love the look of these shoes, so like I can't help myself but put these on and slip them on if I'm going to walk my kids to school or walking about town or going to different places around. Probably, yeah, I mean there's 60 running miles, but I've definitely used these for walks. I mean, I use these primarily as my walking shoes when I was out in Hawaii, definitely when I was in Portland. So I just love the look of them though. I mean, you can't not look at these shoes and be like, these are some dope looking shoes. Just looking at the details from the coloring, you can see this green coloring adds a nice fresh pop of color underneath. The stripe pattern is killer and gives me phenomenal grip, not only on the roads but also on the trails. But there is this one section here. This is a gap that kind of gave me some trouble. Rocks can really get into there. It's especially kind of a nuisance when you're out on a run and you haven't even really run on anything but pavement or asphalt, tarmac, things like that, and rocks get stuck in there. So you have to kind of dig them out when you're out on your runs. So a little bit of an annoyance, but not too big of a deal. For my first run, I went out for a 5-mile run as a part of my training block. Really didn't know what to expect from these shoes, just keeping paces steady and fairly easy. This worked out pretty well at my moderate pace, but I didn't get the results I wanted just yet. After the first run, subsequent runs felt anticlimactic. However, I definitely didn't give the shoe enough credit. I think it really needed to be pushed in its paces. Being similar to the previous iterations of the Novablast, a much speedier daily trainer, unlike version 3, that this could allow for those daily miles to turn up my paces. Best used for faster tempo sessions, hill repeats, and intervals, but like I said, as of late, I've been really able to push my paces for those daily miles in particular, getting about a minute faster out of my runs while maintaining comfort through those miles. So in conclusion, if you didn't already figure out how I feel about these shoes, I definitely recommend them. They are perfect as an everyday trainer, one for those daily miles. They especially work well on the flip side, here out on the track, covering a wide gamut for tempo sessions, interval sessions, as well as taking them to your favorite hill for repeats as well. So with that, these firmly fit into the daily trainer category for me, but they're also a solid companion if you want to round out your rotation for interval sessions, hill repeats, fartleks, speedy sessions, so on and so forth. Speedy enough to pick up the paces or just set them on cruise control and go. So I want to know what your favorite road shoe been recently. Have you tried the ADIZERO SLs? I know Kofuzi put out a review of this shoe. That's where I heard of the price drop and snatched up a pair of these immediately, and that was quite a while ago. So before we conclude, let's talk price point. Is the price worth it? Definitely think the price is worth it, even if it's marked at 120 bucks. For this shoe, I spent 60 myself and 35 on my wife's. The speediness and responsiveness of the shoe and the versatility of it means you're getting a daily trainer and even a speed day shoe that will give you all the things that are demanding out of your training runs. So that concludes my review of the ADIDAS ADIZERO SL. Hope you found this video helpful. Please be sure you click the like button if you did. Let me know if you have any questions by leaving them in the comments section down below. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future content from the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and if anyone asks you what's your favorite running YouTube channel, as always, just say, hey, it's time to run.